It's the live sit and talk with Matthew Batrap. And welcome everybody to our live sit and talk. Today is January 31st, 2013, last day of January. And I can see somebody's asking about my name. So my last name actually is not Batrap, if you believe that. People thought my last name was Batrap. I say people, I'm not sure how many, because of our series Beat Matt Batrap. And I believe Batrap, well, it's obviously short for Battle Report, but the first place I started hearing that was with Blue Table Painting. And Sean from Blue Table Painting was always calling his battle reports Batraps. So I think they coined the phrase. Does anybody here know if it was actually coined by somebody else and you actually have a reliable source for that kind of information? So if you do, I'd love to know. Anybody? Anybody think that somebody else made up the whole Batrap idea? Brush for Hire says Blue Table Painting is where I heard it first too. Yeah. And so like between Blue Table Painting and us, we've tried to make the term a little more mainstream, and I guess it's caught on. Batrap. But because it's not a universal term, and because we just started doing this not too long ago, a few years ago, or 2 or 3 years ago, some people still don't know what Batrap means, which is why we still in our titles put Dark Potential Battle Reports or whatever, so that people know what it actually is. So, but Batrap, spread the love, call everything Batraps from now on. And then of course there's the occasional Bat Rap, but we won't talk about that. Hello everybody, Purple Crab, Lob078, Silinol. Who else do we have on here? Hey, there's Mike.
Hey everybody.
And
your mustache and your...
You like that?
Did you draw that?
I did.
Nice.
Can you tell? He's talking about this. Is that a nice mustache or what? So.
Very awesome.
Yeah, I think it's great.
I'm only here for a minute. Good to see you guys.
Say bye, Mike.
How are you?
Bye, Mike. Okay, anyway. So, we got tons of people on here, so I'm not sure if I can shout out everybody. So, Laughing Shark Tralala says bye to Mike. But, anyways, we got a few things to talk about today. It's end of January, so we've got projects to move ahead with. We're starting a few things out. I'm not sure if you're aware of the different contests. We have 2 different contests going on right now. One is our epic video contest. We do these every once in a while, like every year or two, with a $500 grand prize. This time we got tons of other prizes too. If you go to... Hold on, we got a question here. Red Dragon, does anyone here realize that we know Matt's first and last name as well as his secret first name? We've also seen his wife and both his kids in his new and old house, but we all have no clue what Dave's last name is. That's true. Does anybody know what Dave's last name is? I'm curious if anybody actually knows. I'm not going to reveal it. I just want to see if anybody knows. But anyways, we have the epic video contest going on right now with a grand prize of $500. We got tons of other prizes too. Badgers like giving us airbrushes and paints. We've gotten stuff from Greenleaf Terrain, Trainaholic, Worthy Painting, Blue Table Painting, Wargamer Girl, WG Consortium. I don't think I'm missing any there. Oh yeah, and MiniWarBid.com. They're providing the $50 first place prizes for each of the categories. So go check it out, MiniWargaming.com/contest, and all the rules are there. The video's there. You can watch all that. You have 2 months to make a video. And we just want people just to go all out for this and just have fun and make an awesome video, because we find that usually in the end we get at least a handful of really neat videos. Like sure, we get the good tutorials and all that, but I really like the creative stuff, the stuff that makes me laugh, the stuff that makes you think, the stuff that makes you cry. I'm not quite sure. Anyways. Epic Guy, Matt, speaking of names, I worked out MiniWargamer Dave's last name is AU because in 40K Rejects the credit said Melissa Au, I think is MiniWargaming Mel. And he said in an early video she was his kid's sister. Oh, that's a good guess, but it's actually incorrect. Got Davidson, Sanchez, Korn, Blood God. Nope, none of those are right. Red Dragon 162 says, well, his mom is Chinese, but not his dad, so it won't be anything like Chin or Ling. Well, maybe. That's maybe true. Unless his dad has like some ancient Chinese ancestry, so that name got passed down. So, anyway. So going on, so there's that contest, and the other contest going on is a much simpler one. It's a Dark Potential Scenario Creation Contest. And this is because it's time for us to add some more scenarios now that we're doing battle reports. And I find that the community comes up with better ideas than I do, and then I can take those ideas and mold them into how Dark Potential really should be. So, Howling Wolf says, I made 3 entries already for the scenarios. Awesome. That's great. And I'll definitely be taking a look at those. I think we already have like 5 pages of entries on the forum. It might be more than that now. Let's check. Let's see how many we have. And I've already read through some of them. I do actually like some of them. So that's a good start. Yeah, we're up to 6 pages now. 79 replies. Now, some of those are questions, but we've probably got close to 70 entries. And there's no limit to how many people I will give prizes to. Like, it's not the first 3. It's, if I find 10 scenarios that I like, goodness sakes, I'm going to take all 10 of those. And if there's like multiple people, like 2 people suggest different ideas and I combine them into one scenario, I'll give a prize to each of them. It's kind of nice when you make your own products because your profit margin is nice and big, which means you can hand them out like candy. And people really like that because they get nice prizes. And I really like it because people get into Dark Potential. So, speaking of Dark Potential, let's do a little bit of
Dark Matters.
Might as well talk about that for a few minutes and get that off my chest because I always like talking about Dark Potential. And then we'll get into stuff like 40K, like the Matt vs. Matt battle report I just did today, and we'll be editing and uploading for next week. Basically, with Dark Potential, we're going to be doing a Dark Potential week. That's right, we don't normally do themed weeks, but then we don't normally make our own products. And so this will be... I want to move this thing a little bit. I feel like it's blocking my face. I know it works really best when it's pointing straight at you, but it's still bothering me. Maybe I can't move it. Maybe I'll just move it to the side or whatever. Doesn't matter. That blew the earphone off me. Oh. Just saw your Khador bat reppies in the Conquest. The model is massive. Has that one been posted yet? Was that just posted today? I know I'm getting sidetracked, but it's a live sit and talk. It just kind of goes wherever. Oh yeah, there it is. Already up to 280 views. Just posted that. Yes. That was fun. That game was just awesome. If you haven't seen that War Machine battle report, that's Khador vs. Trolls with my new Conquest, go check it out. Because it's just, it was so much fun. I'm not going to give away the ending, so please don't give away the ending in the chat. That's the word I'm looking for, chat. So, but it was awesome. The Conquest was awesome, the game was awesome, the ending was awesome, it was just all awesome. So I was very excited to have such a good game. I was worried at first that the game would just be trolls just destroying me like they always do, but this game was actually quite close. Still not going to give anything away though. Okay, so going back to, let's do a bit of reset here. We're going to talk
Dark Matters.
All right, yeah, so back to Dark Potential. We're going to be doing a Dark Potential week. And we're going to be doing, we're not sure when it's going to be. I think it's going to be about mid-February, maybe late February. We're going to do just tons of Dark Potential videos. We're going to do how-tos. We're going to do battle reports. We're going to do painting tutorials. We're going to do some live shows all about Dark Potential. And we're going to be having a special. So get this. I love this about the game. I love how inexpensive it is for you to get into it. The typical game is probably going to be around 500 points, but the fact that we only have the starter sets out right now, you're typically going to get up to about 350 to 400 points. Any more than that, and you need a second commander to really make it work, but you're not allowed to bring a second commander in a 500-point game until we come out with the what I call sub-commanders. Basically just other commanders that aren't as powerful as the main one, but can still provide some command points and some command radius, because morale of everybody really sucks except for the commanders and maybe some special solos. But anyway, so the army deal that we're going to have during the Dark Potential week is basically going to get you started. So it's going to get you a full army that you need. It's pretty much everything you'd want from the starter sets. Maybe you'd want a tiny bit more, but this will get you most of what you want. It'll get you a 400-point army. So you'll get 2 starter sets, and then you'll get a few blisters as well to fill out the other parts. So you'll get 2 of each solo, because that's a limit for every one of them except for the corporation one. You could get a 3rd one. And then you basically get equivalent to another squad of guys. So you'll have like 3 or 4 squads, and then 2 of each solo. And you'll have 2 commanders because you get the 2 starter sets, even though you can't use a second one until you get to 1,000 points or above 500 points. But it's just cheaper to give out starter sets because they're such a good price. So normally those cost between like $150 to $170. But we're going to be doing a special for all of them for $100, except for the corporation will be $110 just because there's a few more models in it. So for $100 or $110, you'll have a 400-point army. But here's the really cool part. We've already got this in place. If you spend at least $100 on dark potential items, you get free shipping worldwide. That's already in place right now. And so you buy the starter army, meaning like 400 points, for $100, you get free shipping on it as well. So for $100 or $110, you basically get everything you need to play the game. Well, you had to get your own terrain and a board and dice and stuff. But yeah, I thought that's so cool that I'm able to do that, because it's not like when we're selling Games Workshop products or Privateer Press products where we only get a little bit of a discount, and so we still need to make that profit. We're able to give much better discounts. Now, we're not always going to sell it discounted. It's just really going to be for that week and maybe some other times. Because once we get selling in stores, I don't want to start undercutting all the stores out there. I want it to be sold through the retailers. But right now, since we're the only people really selling it, we can do all of that. Any plans on a hardcover rule book? Definitely. We want to get the beta rules done, and which they're very close to. And then we got to actually create the rule book. Once we get the full rule book, we'll definitely be putting it in print. Like, even though we're going to be allowing it to be downloaded for free, we're still always going to want to have a hard copy as well. Paradox Goblin's asking, are you going to make a cheaper squad box or set? The answer is yes. So you don't have to just buy squads by buying the extra blisters. But that's not going to be until Wave 2, which will be another few months. So right now you just got to... Basically, if you want to get started, buy 2 starter sets, and then buy like 1 extra squad leader, and then 2 or 3 more variants of the squad members. And that's your 400-point army right there. Drewski's asking, does each faction have its own codex, so to speak? Not yet. I do plan on eventually having that, but for now everything will be in the rule book. Athia, have you done any tests on how mirror armies play in 40k, etc.? It normally doesn't work well. Well, you're guaranteed to be balanced in a mirror army, so then it just kind of gets boring. So we haven't really play tested it too much. We had a Reclaimers versus Reclaimers, but they brought 2 different kinds of armies. Red Dragon 162, Matt White has the cooler look evil in his Batrep intro pick. I don't know, it's just the way the picture turned out. So any more dark potential questions? Because we are in the middle of...
Dark Matters!
I know, I use that intro too often, but it's still new to me, so I like to use it a lot. So how many armies are there exactly? We have 3 Laughing Shark Trollolo. We have Corporation, the Reclaimers, and Aslantos. Epic Guy, will these codexes or codices be free downloads? That's the plan. Aetha said, not mirror army, like a solo heavy army versus squad heavy army. Yep, that's one of them. We have a battle report that's being edited right now. That should be up by next week. That is exactly that. Solo heavy versus squad heavy. Howling Wolf, seen any scenarios yet? And the answer is yes. I've looked at a few just briefly. Haven't had a chance to really go in through it. Fishy Swa says, Matt, why are you pouting in your newbie bat rep pit? That's not Dark Potential. We'll talk about that later. How easy is it to mod the minis? I haven't tried. They're metal miniatures. I wouldn't say that they're going to be super easy to mod, but I don't know. I never convert things, so I don't really have any experience with that. Phil Thrill, are there any Dark Potential vehicles? Not yet. I do plan on having them in the future, but not for the first few waves. Silanol says, are you considering sending some out to demo at cons? That's probably next year's plan. This year's plan is to get Wave 2 and 3 out and a rulebook. So basically Wave 2 and 3 will fill out those 3 armies, Aslantos Corporation, Reclaimers, to where I really want them. Basically most of the models that are listed in the rulebook I want all out this year, if possible. Even thinking about doing a second Kickstarter just to help them along, if I get enough support for that. Quill says, how about new Fog of War rules? Is it on a first turn only double range? Yeah, that's what we're doing for now. It's going to get play tested over the next week. That's I've actually updated the rule book. I haven't announced it yet, but when you go to the Dark Potential website and download the rules, it's 0.1.4 now, and that has a new Fog of War rules, deployment stuff, and some other little changes. 30 or Ezekiel says, what kind of gameplay does each faction have? The way that they're designed and the way that they'll play will be... We'll kind of wait to see what the players do. But the way they're designed is the Reclaimers are meant to be fast and very powerful at close range, not in close combat. They suck in close combat, but they're meant to get good positioning with their flash grenades and disrupt Overwatch and strip command points, and then be devastating at close range with the ability to supercharge their weapons, which sucks at long range but is really good at close range. The Xylanthos are your typical kind of shooting army. They're good at sitting back and shooting. And then the corporation are kind of your fodder hoardy army. You're going to have more models in your corporation army typically. And then they have access to all sorts of cool weaponry, like your sniper rifles and the heavy flame launcher and all that. Epic Guy says, bring out the vehicles soon so people will be sucked into the hobby because big vehicles are awesome. I agree. The only problem is we're doing everything in metal right now, so large models will be more difficult. I want to kind of transition into something better before I go into that. Red Dragon's asking, will the Bandit Kings work like mercenaries that you can take with other factions? There is no Bandit Kings yet. That's actually never anything I really confirmed, and I still don't have anything confirmed, so I'm not just hiding that, just really don't know. If you're talking about how the Bandit faction will work, I'm not quite sure yet. I have some different ideas. One of them is more like mixing like an African, Native American kind of thing, so they're more like tribal, and this will be a really close combat-oriented army, but like guerrilla warfare, low armor, but very fast and good at getting into close combat. So I'm thinking of trying something like that, just to give it a little bit of flavor. Crawlinks transition to wood for vehicles. Yeah, that would be really good. Ezekiel, any plans on weapon upgrade packs? How do you mean? How would that work with the guys that we have? Or do you just mean to give them just different options? Fluster Wood, are you going to have any official Dark Potential terrain made up for people to buy? Eventually, but not yet. Right now, we just want to get the miniatures out. So you have to remember, this is what's interesting about this whole thing. About 10 months ago, I had the idea, or somebody gave me the idea to do a Kickstarter-ish thing. We use Indiegogo. And I was like, okay, I'll do that. And my goal will be to have enough money to make 5 miniatures. And so I'll maybe make like 1 from each faction, or the ones that I like. This will get my hands a little wet, or my feet wet and my hands dirty, whatever the saying is. So I can start thinking about doing Dark Potential in the future, kind of figure out all the kinks. And then all of a sudden we raised $90,000 and I'm like, oh, I got to do more than this. So I decided to do 3 starter sets, which in hindsight, maybe it was a little overzealous, but we ended up getting through it anyways. So at this point, now we have 3 starter sets, when at this point, originally I planned to have 5 miniatures and not even a playable game. It's like more just like, here's some collector miniatures for you to take for now, and then we'll see what happens later on. So we're talking about vehicles, we're talking about rule books, we're talking about all these different things. This is crazy, because a year ago, literally a year ago, we had no plans for this. So within a year, it went from like no plans to like, holy cow, we've got 3 factions that we're trying to develop. So we're not going to be as on target with everything like Privateer Press and Games Workshop are. Not yet. It might take us another year or 2. That's why I'm not really going to try distribution. Not going to really try to get into all the stores and go to all the conventions this year. That's if we're lucky, we'll start doing all that next year, because we'll have a better range of miniatures and a better idea of the game. Aetha says, we're rushing you too much, LOL. Well, it's good. I love the enthusiasm. So asking those questions tells me, like, so many people keep asking for vehicles, and I'm like, okay, I've got to work that into my plan. So definitely, don't worry, you're not pressuring me or anything. It's a lot of fun to see all the excitement from everybody. And Cigar Bear says, no, all that's needed is Dan Abnett writing the fluff. Yeah, see, like things like that. I'd love to develop the fluff more, the lore. I'd love to get more artwork like this thing. But that stuff is expensive. And so it's just enough just to get the money to make the models. Whereas the larger companies that put all this capital into it, then they can hire all the artists and writers and stuff. So I would love to have more artwork. I'd love to have a really nice looking rule book. I'd love to have stories written by professional authors. But that's going to have to wait. Because I think the story is really what's going to draw people into it. Like the miniatures will too. Hopefully we can make a fantastic line of miniatures. But for me, it's the story. I just love that. And so eventually I want to really bring that out. Manalu says, it's nice to see the community really getting behind a project. I agree. Like honestly, the rules have really developed and flourished because of the community. Even the scenarios are being developed there. The ideas for the... I like the fact that I'm in control of it, because then I'm able to kind of adhere it to my vision. But yeah, the community has been fantastic. So I can't imagine having done it without it. Red Dragon says it costs about $5,000 for a single resin mold. Yeah, I agree. Or I believe that. Marlboro Ford, have you planned an equivalent to Forge World? Yeah, probably not, but we'll see. All right, let's see. Hexeter says, any plans for an official color scheme and or painting tutorials for the factions themselves? Yeah, we're working on painting tutorials right now. As for official color schemes, I'm actually trying to stay away from that, because I want people to have more of an opportunity for variety. See, I don't like the way Privateer Press did it, where they kind of have these set-in-stone color schemes. I know that you can paint them however you want, but whenever I see blue Khador, I look at them and I think they're Signar. Same thing with red Signar, they look like Khador. It's just the way that Privateer Press has really branded them. Whereas Games Workshop, while they have their color schemes, like Ultramarines are blue, Blood Angels are red, they've given you excuses to be able to make your own. Like Space Marines, you can make your own chapter. Tyranids, you can make your own Hive Fleet. The Tau even have all sorts of different things. So I like how Games Workshop has their official color schemes, but they really encourage kind of coming up with your own as well. So I'm thinking more like along those lines. But in the meantime, we're not going to set an official color scheme. I'd rather wait to see what the community does. We're going to be having some painting contests with Dark Potential, and so I want to see what the community comes up with for that before we can figure that out. Fifth or Thrill, do you guys have a box art quality army? I wish. I haven't had time to make that yet, but we do have well-painted armies, just not display quality. I want a Manta equivalent vehicle. Yeah, I'm sure you do. Oh, here's something. Maybe you're not aware of this, but one of the plans for Dark Potential is to make a second Dark Potential game. Obviously, this is years away. And this one would be more a full-fledged sci-fi game. And what it does is actually fast-forwards the story 1,000 years. And so it's no longer post-apocalyptic. It's back out in like full-on Warhammer 40k level kind of stuff, where you have tons of vehicles, flyers, spacecraft, all sorts of stuff. So I'd love to do that again eventually. Hexector says, what were the tokens the guys were using the bat reps from? The tokens are just beads that you buy at craft stores. That's all we use for now. Blue Table Painting. Yes, actually they can do some painting as well. We'll definitely be getting more painted, but still there's money. You need money to do that, so we've got to get selling this stuff. So like Warhammer Fantasy to 40k? Awesome. No, actually, Warhammer Fantasy is a lot of guys on the board. It's more like Necromunda to 40k, or something like that. All right, what else we got? How did you come up with the names for the armies? Asked Laughing Shark Trololol. Well, the Xelanthos that's actually a name that we came up in high school. See, in high school, there was a group of friends, myself and a group of friends, who wanted to actually create a mud. Does anybody in here know what a mud is, if you can go back 15, 20 years? Anybody know what a mud is? Mud? MUD. It's actually an acronym. A text online role-playing game, a multi-user dungeon. Yeah, exactly. Multi-user dungeon. So basically, it's like massively multiplayer online games, except in a chat room. Except it's actually a computer program that simulates the role-playing aspect. So you have characters and you develop and all that. And we were thinking of actually creating one. You know, we were naive thinking we could actually do this, and it was going to be a science fiction one, just completely crazy. And the race that we each kind of had our race that we developed, and mine was Xelanthos. And I didn't even come up with a name for it. My friend Ian Anderson did, and he wrote down the name, and I actually called him Xlanthos until he told me, no, that's actually pronounced Xlanthos, and so he even came up with the pronunciation for it. And so when I thought of making an alien race for Dark Potential, I'm horrible with coming up with names, so I thought, well, that name's not getting used for anything, so I'll just use that. So yeah, so Xelanthos, and that's where it came from. The corporation, I wanted to create a faction that was run like a business, so corporation just made sense. And then the Petrov Morales part of it came twofold. One, because corporation was a Mantic thing. Mantic actually came out with a corporation army, so I didn't want to just make a corporation army. And so Petrov Morales is one of the guys who contributed $1,500 to the Indiegogo, so he got his name in. And so he actually forever got his name in. And Petrov is the last name of the guy who did all the concept art. And I thought he did such a tremendous job that I'd love to incorporate. Plus, those names are really cool. Petrov Morales Corporation, or PMC. Just was a nice combination of Russian and Spanish. So you just, yeah. The awkward moment when your friend comes back for his royalties. Well, it's not copyright. He gave it to me. He just wrote it down. Anyways, I don't think I have to worry about that. So that's the corporation, Petrov Morales Corporation. And then the Reclaimers, that was my very boring name for them that just kind of stuck. And that's because they meant to reclaim the Earth. That was their goal. So Reclaimers, so they kind of stuck. Salvagers, that took a while to come up with that name. because at first I was going to call them collectors, but then that was in Mass Effect, and it wasn't the right feel. They weren't really collectors. And so, like, recyclers just wasn't right. It didn't sound very intimidating. So salvagers kind of came up with that. And then what else we have? We have the bioformed. That actually was from the one of the writers who helped develop some of the fluff for the initial Dark Potential stuff. He called them the bioformed because they're formed biologically from the Zlanthos terraformers. And then the bandits we don't have a name for yet. We just call them the bandits. It's kind of the placeholder for the race that acts like bandits, maybe. We'll see. So, Reclaimer, the Master Chief. Reclaimer? Oh, yeah, that's right. Well, you're going to like a word like Reclaimer, you're going to get all sorts of places. Ezekiel says, what's your favorite faction to play? Well, I play the Corporation, and I think I do like them the best. So, I'll say that's my favorite for now. Red Dragon 162, can't wait for the Salvagers. I'm telling you, they're my most... That's probably the most anticipated faction. Maybe it's because we already came out with 3 of them, and so it's just the next one in line. But a lot of people have been wanting the Salvagers, but I'm definitely not going to do them until we have done Wave 2 and 3 for these other 3 factions for 2 reasons. 1, because those factions need to be developed, and 2, it's because I want to make sure we've worked out all the kinks in the whole process. I want to get good at this before I work on my favorite race. So I want the Salvagers to look awesome. I want them to be awesome. I just want them to... just awesomeness, because they are the one race that I was most excited for when I created them. I was like, I want a Zerg race or a Tyranid race. I love Tyranids. I love Zerg. But I can't do those because it's already been done, and it would be hard to figure out a way to do it without like the Flood or from Halo. Like, it's just been overdone. So how can I do it but still have that feel? And I thought, well, make them technological, not like the Borg where they take over people, but where they're kind of like, if machines could think, then they would be afraid of the Salvagers because the Salvagers are going to come and cannibalize them.
They're like the Reclaimers from Stargate.
The Reclaimers from Stargate.
Or not Reclaimers.
They're called
Replicators.
Replicators. Yeah, kind of like the Replicators, except not quite as advanced. They're not as good as the Replicators at making stuff. So, Fishy Swat says, hope I'm not going to lose my perk claim if I wait for the Salvagers. You won't ever lose your perk claim. We might not be able to get the Salvagers for free with the perk claim. It just depends. Yeah, the Matrix. Yeah. Well, see, the Salvagers will never be the super evil race, at least not in the first Dark Potential game. Maybe the second Dark Potential game they'll have developed more. I want them to be more interesting than that. So they've got a lot of potential for just some really neat storylines because they're not going to be this one huge unified faction. There's going to be all sorts of groups of them. They'll malfunction. They'll each develop their way to cope. Like, some of them will actually work with people because they find that, hey, if we make friends with them, then our chances of survival go up, and therefore that's all they're really trying to do. So, make the Tyranids as penguins, says Cigar Bear. Everyone loves penguins. Yeah, I guess we could try that. Don't know how well that'll work, though. Just putting that out there. Okay, I give up says, is it really possible to have a close combat faction as the game is so killy? Well, only time will tell. But we are working on making the game less killy at long range. Here's some updates that I did. For one thing, I added Fog of War. Fog of War rule is very simple. In the first turn, you cannot the range of your weapons is limited to twice their range. Now, that might sound funny. Normally, you have unlimited range, and the range of your weapon just determines the range bands and how hard it is to shoot. So if you have a range 6 weapon, then for every 6 inches the target is away, it's a -1 to your skill. But in the first turn, that means if you have a range 6 weapon, you can only fire 12 inches. So that's the first part. The second thing is I actually decreased everybody's ranged attack skill by 1. Just by 1. And that's just to make it a little harder to kill things. I'm probably also going to decrease the range of all the weapons by 1 or 2, and that'll really shorten the effective range of those weapons. But I'm not going to do that until we've play tested more of the Fog of War and the range attack being reduced by 1. So having said that, can you make a close combat army? I think so. I think if we give them a good enough defense and also give them some sort of gadget, kind of like the smoke grenades or flash grenades, and you make them fast enough, I think they could be a threat in close combat. So we'll see. Maybe they'll have lots of stealth. Who knows? I really haven't even put much thought into it. The Salvagers will probably be like a combination. You'll have close combat and shooty. And then the Bioformed will be a heavy close combat army too, for sure. So the Reclaimers will be like the worst at close combat. And then the Zlanthos right behind them. And then it'll probably go Corporation, then Salvagers, then and then the Bioformed and the Bandit, whatever they end up being, will probably be the best in close combat. So, Etha says, could there be some sort of dark potential related field around them that shields against range attacks? Sure, but that might just turn into an armor thing. Like, hey, they got this, so it's +2 armor against energy weapons or something like that. So who knows? You can ask any question you like about it, and I'll just make up an answer because I haven't really thought about it yet. But it will be fun, Red Dragon, I do agree. So, okay, I think that's enough for Dark Matters. Now it's time to go and do some
Q&A.
Wasn't that awesome harmony? You know you love that harmony. You want to hear it again? Of course you do.
Q&A.
That's right. So, now I will open up to questions about anything. You could ask questions about Dark Potential as well, but you can ask about anything. It can be wargaming related, it can be personal questions, it can be whatever you want. Because that, in the end, is how the sit and talk really evolved from the beginning. So whatever I was trying to say there. Hi, Justin.
Hi.
All right. So, first off, that's better. Okay. How did you get that harmony? Asked Hammer T10. Well, I did this. Q&A. I recorded that, and then I went Q&A and recorded that, and then I went Q&A and I recorded that. And you put those together, and you get
Q&A.
And that's the magic of audio recording. So yes, all 3 parts were me. Oh, jeez. It's not snot. I'm just got an itchy nose. See, I got to scratch it. You know when you have to scratch your nose like this? But it makes it look like you're picking your nose? Don't you hate that? Especially when you're like live in front of like 100 people. It's wonderful. But if you leave it, it distracts you and you're like, oh, it's so itchy. I got to do it. And then you're trying to answer questions. And yeah, anyway. So Vishy Swas is asking, where was Dan last night? And unfortunately, he wasn't feeling well. So he wasn't able to do his show. Hopefully, we'll be getting him back next week. TGS Carrot, Matt, any more plans for Dawn of War again? I do have plans to do it when I have time. So I don't know when, but I do want to do it. I'll be honest, doing the first Dawn of War, or Dawn of War 2, I kind of demotivated me because I'd already played it a couple times through, and it's not that great a game. So I was kind of bored by the end. I was very happy when it was done. But I haven't played Chaos Rising before, so it would be nice to actually play through as a... it's just kind of for the first time. All right. How many chicken wings should I eat during the Super Bowl? Asked Flooster Wood. The answer is as many as you possibly can. Cigar Bear, itchy nose gets really funny in an OR with the mask on. What's an OR? OR? Operating room? Oh, I see, with the mask on. And you can't scratch yourself because your hands are sterile, so someone else has to do it for you. Yes. Danbo87, when are you and Dave going to do a bat rap? Whenever we have time. Red Dragon, what is Dave's last name? And Omega OM, good in PvP. What's good in PvP? That's not a question. Geek Tinker, how much square footage does MiniWarGaming have on their physical location? We have about 4,000. Hold on, I got the lease right here. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, just close to 4,000 square feet. So, right. Drewski, do you feel as if making your hobby as your job makes it less fun at all? Yeah. But at the same time, I go through ebbs and flows where I get excited about it and when I'm not as excited about it. Just like anybody else. But the nice thing about it is since we get exposed to so much, it's a lot that makes us have more fun again. So I go back and forth, but overall I still love it after 6 years of doing this. Laughing Shark Trololo, can you pick your nose again for us? I wasn't picking my nose, I was scratching it. Jeez, man, people are so mean. All right. Omega OM, Dawn of War, good in PvP. Oh, I see. Aetha, when is there going to be another campaign type thing like the 80k Orc versus Allies Apoc game? Hopefully soon. Dave's last name is Chaos. Close. All right. Seleninol, thoughts on Dark Eldar? I just got my first unit from them today, the Razorwing Jet. The Dark Eldar, they have cool rules. I don't really like the Dark Eldar's look and their fluff. You know, they're kind of disturbing. But they're a very effective army. So very strong. They're the one I have a big problem against no matter what I play. All right. LaRogue Commando says, for Dark Potential, when you do the story, will you have a clear timeline or 40K-like timeline? We already actually have a pretty clear timeline in our, internal kind of stuff that we've been developing. So there's going to be lots of gaps, but they won't be like 100-year gaps or 1,000-year gaps like 40K. And there will be lots of gaps in like things that like there won't be a ton of details necessarily. So I like to leave a lot of gaps so people can do role-playing games and do their own campaigns and fill in the details. But we'll also have enough that you can kind of frame stuff around that as well. And I plan on developing the story further along with each release of the game. So if we come up with a Dark Potential version 2, like 2nd edition, then I would expect that to extend the story. Or if we come out with another book, like a campaign book, then I would expect that to extend the story even further. I love games that do that. Hammer T10, in Dark Potential I saw an option for Dan to hop from one building to a taller building if you have a grav pack. Can you just measure vertical and horizontal distance and see if your movement can cover that? You still have to basically, you move and then you measure up. So like 4 inches, 3 inches, and then 1 inch. So you need 8 inches just to be able to do that. That's how that works. That's with the grav pack because it makes it faster to go up. Punisher 1, Matt, what happened to the servers earlier today? We're not 100% sure. There was something in the MySQL that just kind of crashed it. I think it was just a crash in the in one of the tables. Hexeter, has the recent explosion of live shows, outsourced content, etc. been well received so far? I think so overall. It's starting to calm down a little bit. We don't have quite as many as when we first started, which is good because we have a lot. But I think people are responding well to the live shows, especially now that we're back on track and doing a lot of content again. So hopefully you're noticing that. Crolinks, okay, your thoughts on Tau? I think Tau, you can play them 1, maybe 2 different ways effectively, and they are desperately in need of an update. So they need new models, they need new rules, everything. Red Dragon Matt doesn't like the Dark Eldars naked chicks. It's not just that, it's just what they do to people when they capture them. It's like they torture and all that. I'm not a big fan of that. Fishy Swass, Dark Potential Primal Mark II? Something like that. Philitherathrill says, what's your favorite fantasy army currently? If it's between my Tomb Kings and my Lizardmen, I like my Lizardmen a lot more. Cigar Bear, Tau equals Blue Jam for Nids. Yes, maybe. Epic Guy, how to beat Tau equals Charge. Well, Tau. Why is everybody just writing Tau?
They're very popular recently.
Oh, yeah?
I keep hearing about them.
Yeah.
Because they're getting a new book in a couple months.
Yeah, the rumors are that they're getting a new book, so hopefully that'll happen. Dagon Ham Swish, do you have significantly noticeable viewing spikes for Joey Berry and Wargamer Girl? You mean because they're like it's a couple of very few girls out there actually do wargaming? I think we did at first. I'm not sure if we still do. I think they might get a slightly higher average number of views, which I think we all know why. But yeah. Laughing Shark Charlalal, this is a silly question, but when do you think the new Tau Codex will come out or new models? I think the rumor is 2 months. Right. How many armies do you have? Chromag, how many armies do you have? Well, I've got Necrons and Tyranids for 40k. I've got Lizardmen and Tomb Kings for fantasy. I've got Khador for War Machine. And of course I got Reclaimer armies. I got a few Firestorm Armada armies. And then I got like other armies that I don't really play that we just kind of bought for the studio. So, any chance you can do some painting tutorials using Tau models? Probably. If the new Tau come out, we'll be doing that. Do you think the Eldar need an update? Danbo87 says. Of course they need an update. They're one of the most outdated ones now, and their codex just doesn't make much sense. Philithrael says, I've been wanting to see a Lizardman versus Cooler Dark Eldar rematch. Any chance of that soon? Yeah, there's always a chance. Hopefully the Cooler actually buys some more Dark Eldar stuff so we don't keep saying, or Dark Elf stuff so we don't keep seeing the same stuff over and over again. Two Hydras. Two Hydras. Right, Owen?
I'm listening.
I know. Greenleaf Terrain, I'm a woman, watch me.
New stuff, it'll get worse. You're gonna have to see Blackguard and Shades and all the other terrible things that are in my book.
Well, then bring them in. He's saying that it'll be even harder if he brings new stuff. Well, I think that's okay. Because the Lizardmen seem to be a good match for them, so I'd be curious to see how well they would do.
I would like a rematch against the Lizardmen.
Yes, maybe one day. Are you planning on making any banter bat reps? I don't really like making banter bat reps, so no. Didn't you, Marble 4, didn't you have Fireman Tim Space Marines? Yeah, that's one of the ones I'm talking about that we have and I don't really use. Right. Hexeter, what would you recommend we print the templates counters as far as paper type? Well, cardstock, if you have the right printer for it, will be good. Did you ever try Battlefleet Gothic? Asked Hammer T10. No, I haven't. Livid says, LOL, what the heck is wrong with this server? I just had 22-second commercials on 15 seconds, Matt. Oh, that sucks. Punisher 1, can't cannons do massive damage to Hydras? I don't have any cannons. Tomb Kings only have the catapults. And no, they don't do massive damage to Hydras unless you get direct hits. This is not reliable. Yeah, but the Lizardmen have ways of dealing with them. It's called being Lizardmen. Because the Lizardmen, they're pretty awesome. They have some very powerful magic. All right. Omega OM says, I have some Dark Elves for sale. That's great. Can always email Owen and see if he wants to buy them. Epitaph says, would it be possible to clean up the painting part of the website by separating artist/medium, airbrush, or paintbrush, and technical ability, novice, intermediate, expert? That's actually a really good idea. That's something I'll think about. Any Necromunda or Mordheim asked Filthethrel? Nope. Zeltic, will you sell Dark Potential within Europe? Absolutely. Once we actually go to distribution, I'll try to get it everywhere. But for now, you can buy it from us, and if you spend at least $100 on Dark Potential items, you get free shipping worldwide. So there's no excuse. If you're from Europe or from somewhere else and you're like, I can't get it because it's only available in North America, it's like, no, we will ship it anywhere in the world for free if you buy at least $100 worth of stuff, which is not hard to do. 2 starter sets, boom, free shipping. All right. Rock Ape 131, will you ever ally any races in Dark Potential when the game develops further? Definitely. I've actually created the races specifically so that they could ally with anybody else. I could give you a reason that any 2 races will actually ally. So you name 2 races and I can give you an actual reason why they would. Epic Guy, why have you got Reclaimers rocket troopers if there are no vehicles to shoot at? No, the rockets they fire are frag ones. When they explode, they shoot out shrapnel and stuff. They're not anti-vehicle rockets. They're anti-infantry rockets. That does exist, you know. Have you ever played a computer game with a shooter? You use rocket launchers to kill people, not vehicles. We make acrylic blast templates for Dark Potential. Ask Paradox Goblin eventually. Ezekiel, what's the sit and talk with the religion question? If you go back to the earlier walking talks, it was like every single one of them. Doofy Dobie says, I just remember everything is better with Gorilla Glue. Vishy Swa says, yeah, but then we get burned with customs. Well, it can't be that bad. You can't get charged that much at customs. And then you haven't paid for shipping, so, you know, kind of look at it that way. Omega OM, have you thought about using 3D printing for your future models? Would it be cheaper? Absolutely not. 3D printing is not cheap. 3D printing is very expensive if you want to pay a couple $100 per model. Epitaph says, also give your Bat Rep crew a high five. They are what really made me love this site. I will. Quils12319 says, Salvagers and Xlanthos. Well, the Salvagers are easy because the Salvagers are just they have an AI and they try to survive. And so what does that mean? Some Salvagers will compute to survive, they have to kill. Some will compute to survive, they have to... It all depends on the interactions they have. So if a Salvager has never had contact with humans and comes across a human, it won't know how to react. And so if the human is hostile, then it'll learn that humans are hostile, you got to kill them. If the human is not hostile and somehow works out some sort of trade agreement that they get the scrap they need in return for something else, then they might compute that it's better to trade. And so therefore, they could easily ally. So they're not evil. They're actually very neutral. There will be like sub-factions within Salvagers. You can completely make yours like the ones that just hate everything living and try to destroy it so they can make sure that they build up technology. But there's like no limit to the way that they could act. Salvagers in bioform, same thing. Same thing. The animals and Salvagers they could easily get along. The bioformed are not mindless animals. They actually have some intelligence. Not like human level intelligence, but enough that they could learn to like Salvagers. They could be tamed by humans, which is why they can actually work with any other faction. And so they could be tamed by Salvagers. Why not? No Cath, watch the last beat map Arab. Is there any Gargantuan or Colossal you wouldn't want to go up against? With my Colossal, I'm not too worried about any of them. with my army, I think the Signar one would do exceptionally well. The Crix one would do very well too. And Dagenham Swish says, how good are you on the piano, Matt? Are you aware of YouTube pianist Tom Breyer? He does a wonderful Nyan Cat improv. I'm not aware of him. How good am I? I'm decent. I wouldn't call myself a professional. I've been playing since I was 5, so that's like 25 or 26 years old.
That's a lie. You're more than decent. He's being very modest right now.
Well, if you look at like professionals on YouTube, I'm not as good as
You're
them.
not a concert pianist.
Exactly, I'm not a
but
concert pianist.
You are an incredibly talented pianist.
Well, thank you.
He's being very modest
Thank
right
you.
now.
I play a lot of piano, so been playing since I was 5, so that's thank you, Dave, for the compliments. All right. Did I miss a discussion about hydras? Miso asks. Yeah, we were just saying how Owen should stop bringing them. Why did you stop selling Flames of War? Because nobody was buying it. So that's easy. Why is JS live show so late? I don't know. Can you play Winter Wrap Up for us? What is Winter Wrap Up? I've never heard of that. I'm more a classical pianist. That's kind of what I grew up with. Matt, have you used a slan? Skidmark asks. Absolutely. They're awesome. Little Lander, Reclaimers and Xlanthos. I do not see how they would be able to ally. Didn't Xlanthos attack the Earth, so Reclaimers more or less hate them, right? Yes, in general, that would be true. But you're assuming that the Xlanthos remain the way they are. See, the Xlanthos... I don't know if I should talk about this. I might be giving too much away. Let me just put it this way. There will be some Xlanthos who will be more than happy to cooperate with humans. Maybe I'll just leave it at that for now. Punisher 1 says, if you have a portable keyboard, you should bring it on the show one day and show off your skills. Maybe I will. All right. It's a pony song. Doofy Dobie said, I forget that the pot game Dan was making that big bomber for ever happened. If so, is the bat wrap up? Not yet. And Drewski, can you get your hands on Badger's miniature paints and sell them on the online store? Eventually. We do have plans to carry some new products this year, but we'll see. Laughing Shark, Tralala, is there any possible way you can do your live shows, Dave's, a bit earlier? They show at 2 a.m. in the UK. For him, unfortunately not. You have to understand that since they're live, somewhere in the world, they're going to be late or early. So we'll see. Like Infinity, yes, Infinity is the next one I'd love to start stocking, just not yet. Aetha says, I think you said one time the Xlanthos, there's different factions like the Blue Guys in World of Warcraft. I don't know what the Blue Guys are. The Xlanthos, basically, when they crashed, they got fragmented, and so they're not all united. So there will be different factions within the Xlanthos. That's what I'll say. Space Marines or Chaos? If I had to choose, I like the look of the Dark Angels. I don't know if I like their rules, but I like the look of them. But I do like the Chaos. The way they look is awesome. If Dave wasn't doing Chaos, I totally would. Is Dan feeling better? I think so. Okay, I give up. Would you mind playing some pieces in the later live show? I mean piano. Maybe I will. I got lots of people asking now. Alright. Are the Xanthos going to be the only alien race in Dark Potential? Doofy Dobie asks. Well, for the first Dark Potential, yes, at least. Alright, it's 10-2. Okay. Let's see. Favorite composer if you're a pianist? Don't really have one. I'm not that much a musician. I just like playing. Tomb King Tyrant, Matt, if I was to take a vacation for a week to see everyone up at MiniWarGaming, do you think it's possible to get a game in with everyone in 40k and fantasy? Not all at once, but like 1 or 2 battles a day? Absolutely. Just give us enough warning. We can do that. Wild cooler spotting. Raydash, GM Hobby. I just watched your battle report against Imperial Guard. That was nice. What do you think of Imperial Guard swarms, Matt? I think they're cool. I think that's the way they should be played. I know they're not as powerful, although that was a pretty powerful army. But they're not as powerful as a all mechanized list. But that's the way I have always envisioned being played. Like just so many Imperial Guard on the ground. But then I guess I like swarms. I never found out, Drewski asks, why is Owen called the Cooler? That's Dave's nickname for him because he was rolling so bad. And a Cooler is somebody who stands beside somebody else and gives them bad luck. That's what you call it. I think they had those all in casinos and stuff. If somebody was doing too well, they had a person who was known for having an aura of bad luck, if that even exists, which it doesn't, and have them stand beside them so they start losing. So Owen, I guess, did that to Dave once or twice, and so the name stuck. All right. So then, do you ever do bat reps on Mondays? Oh yeah, we do Monday to Friday, and Owen and Dan will even do them in evenings and Saturdays. Not Sundays, though. All right. Laughing Shark, Charlo. Okay, so which army do you suggest for my first Dark Potential buy? Whichever one appeals to you most. Honestly, I like all three. I better. Owen ever going to do a live show? Ask Carrot. Maybe. Maybe. All right. Trolled Troll says, or Trolled Troll says, I just thought it was because he was cooler than everyone else. LOL. Nope. Manalu says, have you ever considered using Valhalla as a location for a MiniWarGaming tournament / event? Well, we're actually going to Valhalla again this year, and the tentative dates are October 21st to 26th, and it will be limited number of seats, and it's going to be awesome. So be prepared for that. We'll be hopefully announcing that in the next month or two. It'll be fun. But no, we're not going to do a tournament, but it's just fun. I just loved going last time, and we're going to look forward to this time too. Skid Mark, Matt, I want to know, as a rules Nazi, what do you think about desperate allies? They are considered are treated as enemies with the exceptions, but if you are multi-assault into squads of desperate allies, would they pile into each other and remain in combat? I don't know. I've never actually... I Tyranids, so I don't ever bring allies. So I don't know the answer to that. I haven't really thought about it. Laughing Shark, Tralala, give us the address? I don't know. Punisher 1, Valhalla is really expensive for a college to go to. I'd love to meet you guys there, but I can't drop that kind of cash yet. I understand. It's not for everybody. And which is okay, because we only have like 50 seats available, and so the hundreds of thousands of people that come on our site, you know, if it's not for everybody, then that's a good thing. Then that wasn't an insult, by the way. I might have come across that way. Right. How far a drive was it from Welland to Valhalla? We flew. That would be like a 2-day drive. NoCath wanted to thank you for the prompt shipping. I bought the Hordes Mark II rulebook, and the Mentos included thanks again, and was curious which between Scorn and Legion of Everblight. Oh, I like both of those. Probably Legion of Everblight. So, tell Dan to message me so we could play. Where is Valhalla if you flew? Valhalla is in Utah, in the States. It's up in the mountains. Rogue Commando, is that art behind you Dark Potential, or is it just conveniently placed under the name? It actually is Dark Potential art. That was the... well, here, it's... Sorry, I'll mute this. But... no, that's the London one. Never mind. Yeah, that's a space elevator. And just a city. We don't know which one. Any cook with Matt today? No. Matt can cook. But if you want, I can do the intro.
Cooking with Matt.
You're welcome. We're not actually going to cook, so. So, we're about 5 to 4. I'm probably going to end soon, mainly because I was so busy with my Matt vs. Matt battle report that I didn't take my snack at 2:30, so I'm actually quite starving. And I don't want to eat on air. It's just, when I'm by myself, it's just not very good. Oh, Troll says, totally made some of your wings yesterday. How'd they turn out? Were they really good? They were good. Awesome. Fishy Swass, did I win? I'm not going to tell you. That would spoil the battle report. You're going to have to wait till next week when it comes out. We want to watch you eat. Miso, love the last Beat Map Bat Rep. By the way, very well edited and tactical. Have missed them. Well, thank you. And I do plan on doing more of them, so. All right. I think I'm going to end here. Thank you for all your questions. You guys are awesome. Thank you for all your support. You guys are awesome. Thank you for allowing me to scratch my nose in public without being too hard on me. So, anyways, I'm going to sign off. This is Matthew from MiniWarGaming. Make sure you buy lots of Dark Potential miniatures. Happy wargaming.